A warehouse in New Jersey produces the equivalent of 350 acres of farmland every year. No soil, no sunlight, no seasons. That's not a concept, it's already happening, and it will change how you think about food forever. To understand why this process, called closed-loop farming, matters, you need to understand what traditional farming actually costs. Right now, agriculture uses about 70% of the world's fresh water. That number comes from the UN Food and Agriculture Organization. It's been consistent for decades. At the same time, roughly a third of all food produced globally never gets eaten. It spoils in transit. It sits too long on shelves. It gets thrown out at home. We grow more than we need. We waste more than we eat. And we do it on land that's running out. According to the World Resources Institute, the world will need to produce about 56% more food by 2050. But usable farmland isn't growing anywhere near that rate. In many regions, it's shrinking. Soil degradation, desalination, urban sprawl. That's the problem closed-loop farming was designed to solve. Not partially, completely. But what does this closed-loop farming actually mean? In a traditional farm, resources flow one way. Water goes in. Most of it evaporates or runs off. Nutrients go in through fertilizer. Most of them leach into the groundwater. Energy goes in through machinery. Most of it disappears as heat and exhaust. It's a system built on throughput. You keep feeding it, and it keeps producing. A closed-loop farm works differently. Every output becomes an input. The water plants don't absorb gets captured, filtered, and recirculated. The CO2 that humans and animals breathe out gets fed back to the plants. The organic waste from harvested crops gets composted and returned to the growing medium. Nothing leaves the system unless it's food. Outfarms, one of the most studied vertical farms in the United States, reportedly uses 95% less water than conventional field farming. That figure comes from Outfarms' own operational data, cited by the New York Times and Fast Company. 95% less water. Same food. Smaller space. That's not efficiency. That's a different category of farming entirely. And most people have no idea how these plants actually grow. It's stranger than you'd think. And it changes everything about the harvest timeline. Most closed-loop farms use one of two methods: hydroponics or aeroponics. You've probably heard of hydroponics. Roots sit in nutrient-rich water instead of soil. It's been around since the 1930s. Aeroponics takes it further. In an aeroponic system, the roots hang in open air. Every few minutes, a fine mist of water and nutrients sprays directly onto them. The plant gets exactly what it needs. Exactly when it needs it. NASA studied this in 1990s. Their research, 98% less water than soil. Faster growth. Healthier plants. And here's the part worth sitting with. Lettuce in a field takes about 45 days from seed to harvest. In a closed-loop aeroponic system, it's ready in 12 to 16 days. Because it's getting perfect conditions every hour of every day. Temperature, humidity, light spectrum, CO2 levels, nutrient ratios. All of it controlled. All the time. And the light? It's not white light. The LEDs in these farms emit specific wavelengths. Mostly red and blue. Those are the wavelengths plants actually use for photosynthesis. Everything else is wasted energy in a traditional greenhouse. Here, the light is surgical. Some facilities run 20 hours of light per day. Plants grow faster, more consistently, and they grow stacked, floor to ceiling, in layers a flat field can never replicate. That's how a warehouse beats 350 acres. But there was a hidden cost. One the Brouchers don't mention. And it nearly killed the whole idea. In a traditional farm, what happens to the parts of the plant you don't eat? The stems, the roots, the outer leaves. Most of it gets plowed under or hauled away. It's handled, but it's not used. In a closed-loop system, that organic matter goes straight back in. It's composted on site, returned to the growing medium. The nutrients that left the plant cycle back and feed the next one. Some facilities go further. Certain closed-loop farms integrate fish farming. It's called aquaponics. Fish produce waste. That waste, broken down by bacteria, becomes nitrate-rich water. That water feeds the plants. The plants filter the water. The clean water goes back to the fish. It's a loop inside a loop. This system has been running in controlled environments since the 1970s. It's only recently become commercially viable at scale. The Sahara Forest project in Qatar used a version of this in a desert. Saltwater-cooled greenhouses, recycled brine. According to The Guardian and the project's own published findings, they grew cucumbers and vegetables in one of the driest places on Earth, using almost no fresh water. In a desert, no fresh water, vegetables. That's the ceiling of what closed-loop farming can do. And we haven't hit it yet. Here's the moment that reframes everything. The biggest limitation of traditional farming isn't water. It's not soil. It's not even weather. It's distance. The average meal in the United States travels about 1,500 miles from farm to plate. That's according to research from the Leopold Center for Sustainable Agriculture. That distance requires refrigeration, packaging, fuel, and time. It's why your supermarket lettuce wilts by Wednesday even though you bought it on Monday. Closed-loop farms don't need distance. They're built where the people are. A vertical farm can operate inside a city, a former warehouse, a repurposed factory, a shipping container. Bowery Farming runs facilities in New York, New Jersey, and Maryland. Grocery stores get their supply within hours of harvest, not days. And that gap matters nutritionally. Leafy greens start losing vitamins the moment they're harvested. A head of lettuce in transit for 5 days has significantly less folate and vitamin C than one harvested that morning. That's from research at Penn State University's College of Agricultural Sciences. Fresher food, more nutrition, less waste. So here's the question. If you could grow food anywhere with no soil and almost no water, where would you put first? Because right now, over 800 million people live with food insecurity, and many of them are in regions where traditional farming is simply impossible. Closed-loop farming doesn't fix that overnight, but it removes the geographic excuse. You don't need good soil. You don't need reliable rainfall. You don't need a growing season. You need a building, electricity, and the system. That's a different conversation about hunger than we've ever been able to have before. So where does this all stand right now? Closed-loop farming is real. It's operating. It's growing, but it hasn't replaced traditional agriculture. Not even close. And it won't anytime soon. The honest limitation is energy. Running the lights takes 18 hours a day, sometimes 20. Climate control never stops. Water recirculates constantly. It all needs power. A lot of it. A 2020 study in the journal Nature Plants found that lettuce grown in vertical farms carries a significantly higher carbon footprint per kilogram than field-grown lettuce, specifically because of energy costs. That's a real problem. Critics point to this regularly, and they're not wrong to. But here's what that critique misses. The energy problem is solvable. Fossil fuel dependence isn't a feature of closed-loop farming. It's a current limitation. As renewables get cheaper, the carbon math changes completely. Several facilities are already running on solar arrays and wind contracts. The water savings don't disappear when the grid gets cleaner. The land savings don't disappear. The proximity to cities, the year-round production, those are structural advantages. They compound. Think back to that farmer in Iowa. He's not the enemy of this story. He's doing what agriculture has always done, working with what the land gives him. But the land is changing, the climate is changing, and the population that needs to be fed keeps growing. Closed-loop farms aren't replacing the field. They're filling the gap between what traditional farming can deliver and what the world actually needs. That gap is only getting wider. And these tiny, humming, perfectly controlled rooms, stacked with plants under purple light, recycling every drop of water, growing lettuce in 14 days flat, they're part of how we close it. If this got you thinking about growing food differently, the next video is going to hit even closer to home. It's about 5 micro-farming setups that can actually feed a family with almost no land at all. No warehouse required. No industrial system. Just smart, small-scale setups that work. If you want to catch that one when it drops and get more videos like this every week, subscribing takes 2 seconds and keeps them coming. Thanks for watching.